Hello. Hi, everybody. Let's see if someone is here. Somewhere is it on? Okay. Beginner error. Okay. Okay. Hi guys, so data engineering, big data. If you have any questions, let me know, ask me anything. I'm just going to play here, and when a question arrives, gonna answer it. Damn it. Somehow my effect, my thing here doesn't work. No, it works. Stupid thing. Nice questions. How are you doing? How are you doing, guys? It's just a chill stream here. Yesterday I picked the guitar up for how long was it? 2 years or something. 2 years that was laying under my bed. Never been played. And so I thought, well, let's pick the guitar up. Yeah, just fire out the questions. Pick the guitar up and play a bit. I need to relax a bit more. And so, yeah, I'm not the best player, but it's just for fun. Just so, what's your question, Mikael? Valuable certification in data engineering field that you would recommend, if any. Okay. It depends on a bit, I would say, what you're going for. A valuable certification is, are you going for the Hadoop route, or something that is on premise, something that where you say, okay, I want to go and build architectures on top of hardware, or do you want to go more the cloud? Want to specialize yourself in the cloud and with AWS and Google Cloud and so on? And so I would say a good idea is to, if you're going with the cloud, is do some trainings on top of, let's say, for instance, on AWS or something. Do a course. It doesn't really matter that much, I think. If you're going straight for Google or AWS, it's basically showing that you have the knowledge to do something, to do an architecture on the cloud, and because the transfer between Google and AWS, it's that's super important. And I would say those are some, or if you're more into the coding, into doing pipelines and so on. The problem is there are so many tools, and you cannot recommend any or one special certification for everything. So I would say go with something that you think is interesting and is used on the market, like Spark, or like right now Flume is very interesting also, and do some courses on Coursera or something that help you build up the basics for that, and don't go for super high priced certification. I don't think that really makes sense, because there are so many options and so many tools that are possible, that is used on the market. And do some courses, and of course always document everything that you do. I would say that's a good way. Spark is a win. Cloudera or HTTP. HTTP, I think it's with regards to what is used on the market, what is more popular in Germany, Cloudera or HTTP. One thing that you can do is, for instance, a simple way to find stuff out is go to go to Google Trends and search for search for those two things, and in Cloudera you would search for CDH and search for that, search in Germany and find out what is searched more. I think it doesn't really make a difference because Cloudera bought Hortonworks, and so in a few years there will be no Hortonworks distribution. There will only be Cloudera and MapR. Did you know that Cloudera bought Hortonworks? No. Those, as far as I know, those two distributions will stay separate for some time. Cloudera and the Hortonworks distribution, but they will go to the Cloudera in the long term. Keeping Hortonworks distro for more like open source minded customers, that can be possible, but I think that's not what companies really want to go for, because if, in my experience, there are some issues if you're running a platform, and it's always good to have the company have a service contract with for instance Cloudera, so you can have a sub 24-hour response time and get problems fixed. pop out the chat here. Yeah. How do you think, what are the main conditions where self-owned cluster managed by Cloudera or something becomes more beneficial than just using a cloud? Except compliance issues, maybe. Yeah, the thing is, one thing that there are a few things. One thing that people always how do you say this? Underestimate is the hardware. Hardware, if you're running on real hardware, and if you're going on real hardware and you have hardware servers, this is better than the cloud. This is, if you're running a purpose-built system, that is usually the thing that has the best performance. It's usually those clusters are not managed by Cloudera themselves, so you have to manage them. So this is more a bit of a downside, because people have to manage them. The thing is, the other thing is with compliance issues. Many companies don't want to get their data out to the cloud. So if you're a bigger, if for bigger companies, or for some like personal data privacy laws and stuff, or if it's let's say in banking, for instance, some banking data, I guess it's a bad idea to go to the cloud, or they don't want to go to the cloud. And so it's this is usually beneficial to have the option of going basically a on-premise cloud. Many bigger companies are doing this, and but for smaller ventures, or for quick setups and so on, it's super good to actually use a cloud service. What can be, let me think, what is also something that speaks for the cloud, for local. Beneficial. What is more beneficial? So the cloud is a strong argument. I have to say this. The cloud is a super strong argument, because it's so versatile and so quick to set up, and it's cheaper. And I would say the Yeah, and another thing is this for yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure, for governance, or for access control. I would say maybe if you're going with on premise, that could also be very beneficial. Having it basically in house and having someone who is responsible for the whole thing. About cost efficiency, if I have 20 nodes, my own hardware won't pay the administration costs. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. My own hardware won't pay the administration costs. Can you maybe rephrase that? Oh, I have to reread this again. If I have 20 nodes, so I have a 20 node cluster, hardware. My own hardware won't pay the administration costs comparing to the cloud. So you mean the cloud is takes more administration than the cluster? Yeah, the thing is with the cloud services, you are if you're having a I think I know where you're going with this. The thing is with the cloud services, if let's say you're going onto AWS and you're building something that is more or less okay, you have two options. If you're going, let's say you're going, okay, let's make it this way. You have a hardware cluster with on-premise, 20 nodes, done. You set it up, you run it, and now there are two ways to compare the costs. For instance, with AWS or Google Cloud or whatever, you can go to AWS or the cloud provider and buy the whole the servers and set up the whole thing basically the same, which is, I would say, less cost efficient. This would pay, there you are going to pay a lot more than if you invest in hardware. And the other way would be then that you're going and you're using the actual managed services, let's say, from from AWS. Let's say you're going on your cluster, you have a Kafka system running, and so you're going to AWS and you are getting yourself a Kinesis stream service. And I think this, what I have seen, and I have done a few calculations, the thing is that starts very cheap and it's quite good. But the more you're using it, and the higher you go, and the more power you're putting through, and so on, the more expensive it gets. And so in larger ventures, you are better off with a hardware server or with a hardware cluster, because the actual managed services, they are going to cost you more to run than if you're buying the hardware, and if you're administrating everything with everything in house. This because yeah, I mean, it's their business model. Of course, it's easier to set up, it's more scalable, and it's more versatile. So because hardware, you have hardware, and software you can just switch off, and so on. And so yeah. Yeah, cloud is less administration. Again, it depends on what you're setting up. If you're using the managed servers from AWS, then yes. Then yes, I think managed services are way better, and less administration heavy. There's both. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at the history of AWS, why did Amazon invent AWS? They needed a data center to run their own servers. So for the question was, for example, Facebook their own data uses their own data centers. They don't use AWS, but they're quite big companies that still host exclusively on AWS, right? Yeah. So first, again, it's Amazon created AWS to host their own services and to host their as a backbone for the online store. So you have to keep this in mind. It's Facebook, for instance, they use their own data centers because it's if you're on scale, it's less expensive than if you're running on AWS. The thing is, I guess I'm 100% sure Facebook also runs some services in the cloud. It's not 100%. They usually, even bigger companies who are don't have a, let's say, 100% strategy. There are always some side projects that are using AWS or Google Cloud or Azure and so on. So can't say it's 100%. It's also a kind of a strategy. trying to understand the trend. Will cloud become popular in data engineering? Okay, I see a niche for private clusters like banks or other companies that are very concerned with the client data. The cloud is already popular. The cloud is already popular. The cloud is popular for startups, for smaller companies. It doesn't, more or less, it doesn't make any sense to buy hardware anymore if you're a small company and just want to do calculations. Just especially if you're getting, for instance, something like data from the internet, from clients, from IoT devices, and so on. So I mean, it's already there. The cloud is already very super popular, and also in bigger companies. Yeah, Zalando is running in the cloud. I have Zalando is super interesting. Zalando has also a nice blog on, I think it's on Medium, and they have a data scientist from Finland. How is he called? Mikio something. I think he's called Mikio. They have some very interesting documents and documentations on the internet about that. So it's and Zalando is, I mean, for Zalando it makes sense. What they have it's an online retailer, an online store. They have all the servers and so on. Yeah, Mikio Brown. Yeah, exactly. Hi you. Hi. Thanks for the image. That was the picture. That was very, very cool. I'm so untalented. I couldn't even do this with if I have 10 weeks to do stuff like this. So thinking about that you've done this with a mouse. It's I'm hopeless. I'm absolutely hopeless. There was no. You don't need to. to do this, especially on the tablet. It was very, very cool. Send it to me, either on plumbers of data science at gmail.com or andreask@gmail.com. That's super cool, super cool, super cool. Have some questions about music. I can type the email. Or Mikhail, what was your impression from Zalando? That would be very interesting to get some feedback. What's your experience with Zalando? Question: can you record your playing? I'm doing this right now. Man, I have forgotten everything. I'm not that super. How was that? There's some really, really cool songs from Free. Can't remember. I'm just doodling along here. Cool company, but a bit chaotic. Yeah, okay. What have you done there on at Zalando? Yeah. Ah, man. I'm fighting here. They have very cool things, but with regards to data engineering, they lack overall company strategy. Yeah, I guess so. Last thing I did was a new project for creating algorithmic outfits. Deep learning use. Okay. Yeah, data. Cool. That's cool. Yeah, the thing with data engineering, um, the thing with data engineering is that most companies they don't have a real strategy for data engineering, or for because right now the hype with data science is so high, and um, everybody is doing deep learning and machine learning, and the data scientists are the greatest guys ever, and they are creating the business, and it's yeah, it's a bit of a problem that people don't realize that you're needing a platform to actually do this and to actually automate everything and create the pipelines and so on, and have a strategy of what tools to use and how to fit everything together so you don't do 2, 3, 4, 5 times the same stuff within one company. And so it's, yeah, I can imagine. Send you the pic and the $100 bill. What $100 bill? Let me check. Let this play. Goodness. Let's overdub this. Okay, I was accidentally overdubbing again. What did you send me? Wait, I'm going to show this on the. Just get this here. It's a bit smaller. That thing is sweet. Yeah, better not upload this to to LinkedIn. No, it's cool. The picture is cool. Really like that. Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions, guys? I think it's only you two and me, so I have time. I'm loving this guitar. I bought this guitar in what's that? It's a 2011. The 2011. I bought this one in 2012, and this thing is crazy. The dynamic is absolutely crazy. So I'm here on the pickup. Right now I'm at, let's say, 9. So I can. This is the I'm on the treble pickup. So I can play really mellow. This thing is amazing. Also on the front pickup, it's also it's super fat. Yeah, I'm more focused on Hadoop right now. So I'm working with Hadoop clusters, and I've the first cluster I set up. What was that? 2014. I think it was 14. Started with a virtual thing, and then I personally, I love this whole. I personally love the whole Hadoop thing, and I'm working with Cloudera cluster, so all these options that you have right now, and with Kafka and this, I mean, it's crazy, the simplicity. If for pumping out data or pumping in data into these systems, pumping it in Kafka and processing it with Spark and then putting it into HDFS or back into Kafka and so on. So it's fascinating. For me, the whole thing started. I think in 2012, where I was working on a project, and we were looking at getting a lot of data and storing it into a SQL database, and I've done some tests and some calculations, and I thought to myself, well, if you're storing billions and billions of data sets or data points, that doesn't work. That is not going to work with SQL. That is never really going to work with SQL. So at that point, it was back then, it was super early, the whole big data thing and Hadoop. That was all very new. And I remember the first videos on YouTube I watched about all this stuff. It was interesting. An interesting time. Now it's now the hype is over, and Hadoop and something is normal, but yeah. I haven't seen this comment. I did quite a bit with clusters and stuff, so please spare me. Yeah, especially if you're in the administration, it's not always so super simple. Can't remember one song. That was that Dire Straits song. Need to look that up. Again. There was something here. Yeah, no problem. We're talking on LinkedIn. Thanks for showing by. Thanks for the pictures. Super cool. And yeah. We're going to talk on LinkedIn or some other time. Michaela is still here? I need to learn more songs. It's been so long. It's been so long. Yeah. Zalando. Zalando. Interesting. Have I bought something from Zalando once? Have I bought something? I think I bought some shoes and then sent them back because they didn't fit. Well done, data science team. Yeah, what is the strategy for provisioning of a cluster in Hadoop? One thing I have to admit I'm more a Cloudera guy, so I'm Cloudera with the Cloudera manager. It's super easy to provision a Hadoop cluster and to set up the initial installation. But I also have to admit that I'm right now in a stage where with the newest thing, I'm not doing this myself either. So there are some other methods to automate this, but usually these installations, they have very, very simple and very, very good methods or mechanics where you set up the manager, you put up the parcels on the manager, and then you say distribute to those servers, and it installs everything itself. So it's, yeah. Hi, Enrique. Spark is using, I guess that's the question. Spark is using kind of MapReduce to retrieve the data through the RDD. Is it kind of true? Oof. I would need to look this up exactly myself. So it's what you have in Spark. You also have the basically the methods map and reduce that is also built into Spark. The thing is exactly the mechanic how the data gets loaded from HDFS. That is not MapReduce. It's not MapReduce, and that's a good question. I need to write this down. I need to look this up myself. Because a RDD is a resilient distributed data set. So it's once it's created, you cannot change it, and the data in HDFS is lying on the data nodes, and it's also separated into blocks, and so it's I think it's kind of a map in a way that you load the data from the block into the memory and then create an RDD from that with the partitions from an RDD or put the data into partitions of the RDD. So, but that is some, if you're really hard pressed on it, could call this map. Yeah, the thing is, okay, that is what you meant with provisioning of a Hadoop cluster. Of course, you can. That's a problem if you're with hardware. If you're working with hardware, you need to buy in advance. It's not as simple as a cloud service where you buy today and you get the resources today. Yeah, you need to plan ahead. You need to look ahead, but the actual setup process is quite simple. So it's more of a provisioning the hardware at the right time, getting the hardware in-house from a vendor at the right time, and planning that right so you don't spend as much money. Hi guys. Tushar says, can you state an ideal scenario for building streaming data pipelines using Kafka? Which one? I mean, you can use Kafka for basically everything. You could use a just a second. I have the baby phone here with me because my wife is already sleeping. I need to check if my oldest is. Okay, she's still sleeping. You could, for instance, have a with Mikael, we talked about Zalando, and you're clicking on something. You're clicking on an item, and you want to at the Zalando side, you want to in real time see what people are using, what people are going for, what they are interested in, and so on. And so what you can do is you can connect the web server, the web service, the UI directly to Kafka, and you stream the data. Basically, every click that the customer does, you stream that into Kafka, into a Kafka topic, and at the end you have a processing tool. Can be Spark, can be Storm, can be Flink, Samza, and from that you're processing it and you're sending the raw data into something like like HDFS or a key value store, and the analytics data you feed back into a UI or a UI database or something. That's a super simple scenario for Kafka. Mika, what is delivered? I mean, the hardware. So if you need to plan ahead when the hardware is going to come, because usually if you're buying servers, these servers are not. It's not like with a PC that you buy from something like Dell that will arrive tomorrow when you order it today. And within bigger companies, you usually also have a process of ordering stuff, and it all takes time. You need to plan ahead. Sugata asks, he's working in Toronto. Cool. Toronto, Canada. What time is it there? Toronto. I think it's quite early, isn't it? How far are you behind? He's a aviation engineer with international experience, operation management. Okay, program management, currently work with aircraft data, and you would like to make the transition into data science and machine learning. Can you code? This is the first question. Yeah, that's a good start. Start with something. Start with coding that is super important, especially in data science. It a bit depends on what exactly you're doing with data science. I think R is quite good. If you're looking at actually what's hot right now and what people are using right now, that's more Python. That's absolutely more Python. I have seen charts where, also on LinkedIn, where they show the distribution of Python, R, and Java and others, I think, and Python is absolutely running away right now. Python is super important, but it doesn't matter. If you have R down, you can. If you have one language down, you can swap to another language. That's not really a problem. It's getting the yeah. but in otherwise, I would say it's a good way. Statistics. I'm not a data scientist, or data engineer. I know what a data scientist does, but I would say statistics and some programming, some coding. It's the first step, and then go look into machine learning and look into regression and so on, classification. So basically, supervised and unsupervised learning, and you can learn this at home and start doing this at home. So yeah, that's a good way. Mika asks, so you mean in real life you have a kind of planned supply of new hardware like each month, quarter? I would not go so far that you say you have a planned supply every quarter. What you're going to do is it depends on how much money you want to spend and how much overhead you have and how fast your data is growing. And then you're starting with or you always have overcapacity, and yeah, then you need to plan in that or try to plan in advance, but you need to stay agile as well. You cannot plan with 2 years ahead and just have a shipment every month. That is not going to work. My opinion about Elasticsearch, I have to say I cannot really have an opinion about this because I haven't worked that much with it. So I'm coming from the Hadoop world, and I cannot give you a real opinion. I would need to look into that as well and have more real world life experience with it. So I'm not 100% sure. Why are you asking, Eric? What is... What's your background here? What's your opinion about Elasticsearch? I have that. What's your opinion on the merger of Cloudera and Hortonworks? Awesome. One less competitor. I said before to Michael, I'm a fan of Cloudera, and so yeah, I have not so much good experience from the sales guys from other companies, and I have heard some other companies. I don't want to drop any names. There are a few colors: blue, green, red. And the other guys, they sometimes I have heard are not so good. So the blue ones are really good. I personally, I think Cloudera is on the right track here, and yeah. Okay, that's an interesting question here. The ideal collaboration between data scientists and data engineers would look like. So, I have been working we have 2019, it's crazy. For the past, let's say, almost 10 years, 9 years, I have been working with data scientists. We started with one colleague who was a data scientist. I was a data engineer, and that was a very, very awesome experience, because it was basically the data scientist, he knows what kind of data he needs. He knows how he's going to process the data and what he's going to do with it, how he wants it to be displayed and processed, and what structures he needs. And the engineer then is basically creating him the platform for the actual processing. So that was and still is one of my favorite experiences, that the working with the data scientist who has a idea, who knows what he wants to do with the data, and he either has the data or he has to get the data somehow, and helping him figure out how to build up the system and the pipelines and the storage, so he can most efficiently access the data and make the most out of the data. That's a good combination. And I have heard a lot that people say, the data engineer, that's something that should be done by a data scientist as well. But that's in my opinion, that's bullshit. So because the data engineer has a different background, he has a computer science background, and why not let the data scientist focus on what he can do best? Data science, the actual machine learning and so on, and have everything else figured out by the data engineer. So every one of those two guys, you can start with two guys and can do a lot with two guys already, and have them separated and benefit from each other. That is a big deal, in my opinion. Planning. Okay, you're planning to make a masterarbeit in Elasticsearch. Okay. Of course. It's getting quite popular and could be a good option. Just want to hear your opinion. Find a real world, find a real world problem, and make a real world solution with it. Something that you can show and that makes sense, and not some theoretical stuff. Maybe you could compare it also to other services, just like it. So what do you think? How far are you with that? Have you already planned what your... Is that in the early stages or is that in the later stages? That was bad. Could be interesting. What do you think are the options here for Elasticsearch? Either you do a project and use it and basically what do you want to find out here? What is the goal of this? I mean, why are you choosing to use Elasticsearch, and what is the goal of the master thesis? Is that something special? Is that some comparison between tools and what is best, or what do you think? Doesn't really matter. It doesn't really 100% matter if it's Spark or Hadoop. Just need to check here again. It's almost, it's 12. Usually she wakes up at 12 or after 12, and then I need to go. My idea is to read of a lot of views. Yeah, you can do that. Okay. It is to read a lot of user cases, successful user case for Elasticsearch, and implement a kind of system. If that is enough, just implement it. I mean, I'm not 100% sure if that is enough for a thesis. Okay, you could research what people are using and why are they using it, but is that something for a master thesis? Sounds a bit weak. That sounds a bit weak. I agree. I have had bad experience when data scientists build stuff for production themselves. Yeah, that is an accident or a disaster waiting to happen. I think it's Enrique, you need to find something that is special, that is something that is different in your solution than everybody else. Yeah, it's hard to explain or have a make sure you have a really, really interesting use case. And yeah, yeah, I think it's a fine choice and it's a good choice. Everything all right? Yeah, good enough. Yeah, I think I'm going to go in a few minutes here, and yeah, I need to get up at. I usually get up at 5 in the morning, so. Usually get up at 5 in the morning, then I'm going to edit some stuff from here. And then I'm going to put this on the Clips channel. Guys, before you go, please hit the subscribe, not the subscribe. If you're not subscribed, then please subscribe. Hit the like button, please, on this. That would be very good, and so we let the algorithms know that this is something to share. Yeah. Thanks and bye-bye, guys. Goodbye, everybody. See you later. Bye bye.